Attention, attention. Pop surgeons Eric and Stacey, please report to operating room 1. Pop surgeons Eric and Stacey, please report to operating room 1. Surgery is about to begin.
Welcome to POPeration. I'm Eric.
I'm Stacey.
And Stacey and I are dear old friends. We have known each other for over 25 years.
Oh my gosh.
It's been that long. 1992.
That's crazy.
Is when we met. Yeah, our friendship can now rent a car.
And get better insurance rates.
Yes, that's exactly right.
But it can vote, it can drink, it can do all those things. And it's probably
up to no good.
Hearing the biological clock around here.
Well, and that's the age I came out of the closet, so that's how old our friendship is. So
why are we doing POPeration?
We're doing POPeration because, we've had these conversations about pop culture and movies we love and actors we love and don't love and TV shows we're watching and not watching for a long time. And we just have so much fun whenever we get together and talk about these things. We thought, we're really being greedy and selfish by not sharing this with the entire world.
Well, exactly. And we met doing a play.
Yes, we were both actors.
And we were playing, what were we playing?
Twin brother and sister.
Totally were. Hashtag woomates.
Yes, and we had very few scenes together actually in this play. It was basically, the play was about the two characters who were our parents.
Correct.
We were just kind of evidence that their life was more fucked up than they knew, because you had just married someone you met over the weekend in Florida or something, and I was crashing a car into Central Park Lake, and we were just these messed up kids.
And basically all we did was just steal scene after scene after scene. We were not really well directed. Okay. But that's how we met.
And we got along so well, even though we didn't work together a whole lot on that play. We didn't share a lot of scenes, but everyone around us was like, oh my God, these two are like...
But we also, backstage, we were hanging out.
Yes, a lot.
And in theater, if you've ever done theater, you know that there is that hangout time when somebody else is on stage or whatever. But there's also, best part of doing theater, cast parties,
yeah.
And so Eric and I would hang out, and this is at any cast party, not just one that Eric and I are at, but people gather in groups, and you sit there and you basically diss just literally everything.
Yeah.
And then you get to where you get past the being negative, and you're talking about things that you like about theater or movies or pop culture or whatever. And Eric and I did that all the time, and then we would do that even when we weren't in a play together.
Yeah, and we haven't done a show together in... Gosh, when's the last time we traveled out to Delaware to do A.R. Gurney's Love Letters? It's been a minute.
It's been several years.
Yeah, since we've done that. So we, again, have so much fun having these conversations and telling these stories that, we thought podcasting's a thing. Let's just get into it. Let's try it. So we tried it. And 40 episodes later, we had a whole first season of POPeration, and we thought, are we going to keep doing this? And yeah, we are.
Yeah.
We are. So, Stacey, tell us a little bit about you and kind of what your take on this whole pop culture thing is and how you got so excited about.
I grew up watching old movies. So a lot of the times my focus is going to be about that, because that's what I know. I would watch old movies with my dad back when there were 3 channels, PBS and a UHF station. And UHF had no money, so they would have to show public domain movies, which were usually really, really old. And so my dad and I would watch them, and we would basically do like MST3K. We would sit there and just rip them apart.
That's Mystery Science Theater 3000 for the uninitiated into the nerddom that is MST3K. Go ahead.
Anyway, so we would do that. But my dad was just a font of knowledge of old movies and television, that sort of thing. And so I kind of, hanging out with him, learned that and learned to appreciate that. And that has just come with me throughout my life. And I now include with that all of the new technology that's in there, that, the social media, YouTube stuff, any of that has some kind of, it's starting to have its own history in its golden age and that sort of thing. I'm all about that. But I love TV. I grew up with TV. I'm that generation. And I love movies, and I love especially old movies, I'll be honest with you. But it's interesting, the reason that classics are classics are because they have something that can still speak to us today. So I think that's one reason why you and I thought that this was a good idea, is to bring to the forefront some of this old stuff that people have forgotten about maybe, or they didn't ever know about, and to just kind of discuss it. And again, we call them surgeons just because sometimes we go just down a road, but we get really deep into some of the trivia or some of the information about either actors or TV shows or movies or that sort of thing. But it's fun. It's this weird, fun analysis, and I think that's why I like that. But that's who I am, and that's why I'm here. What about you, Eric?
So, yeah, what about me? I grew up in the Navy, so I lived overseas a lot. And one of the things you notice when that's your life is that you have a lot of pop culture, big black holes in your, people will say, remember when we were kids and this was popular? And I'm like, I might have been overseas where I had one channel. And so there was and everything was late, right? I remember General Hospital would come to the base, but it showed on base at 5 p.m. And so everybody watched General Hospital when Luke and Laura were off in the desert island trying to find the largest uncut diamond in the world with Robert Scorpios. I remember all this shit.
Oh my God.
But everyone was talking about it. The entire base, like the most butchest, like Seabees you ever met, who were like building airplanes for the U.S. Navy, were talking about like, is Robert Scorpio going to find the Ice Princess?
Because that's all you had.
Yeah,
because that's all you had.
And when I grew up, I got to college and I decided, I wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be a theater major. An actor, maybe a director, maybe a playwright. all those things were I was so into this whole thing. And later I learned that that's just a life that I didn't want. There's a whole lot about telling those stories and creating in that way that was really exciting, but there's also a whole lot about living that life, trying to be in entertainment. It's a tough industry. And so I don't do that anymore. Now, what I do is I work and I do a lot of training, a lot of consulting with organizations about diversity and inclusion, which might seem like a real break from trying to make it in the entertainment industry, but I always thought, no, not really. I always go back to this one story when I was in college. I was in a production of King Lear. We were doing King Lear on campus, and I was Edmund. I was the bad guy. I was the bad seed.
I can see that.
And, well, it wasn't working because I was just basically, the equivalent of just twirling my mustache and trying to be evil every time I would walk across the stage. And my director finally just pulled me aside and said, if you can't do better than this, I'm going to have to replace you. And he had never said anything like that to me before. And I was just like, well, what's wrong? I'm just trying to play bad. And he said, that's it, because this character doesn't think he's bad. This character is doing what he needs to do in this moment. And if you can't find a way to relate to him, it's not going to work. And that was like one of the big kind of aha moments for me that I have to, and it was easy for me to do when I was playing somebody I liked. When I was playing somebody I didn't like, it was harder. And so I took that, and I think that's kind of the glue that like brought me into this other kind of work where now I'm trying to teach people to understand people who are maybe not themselves and try to get out. So I do have that kind of diversity and inclusion when I watch a lot of this stuff is, when I see a character out there who belongs to a certain community, it's like, what is that movie saying about that? And I'm appreciative when entertainment really gets it right. I'm also I can be a little like irked when we get it wrong, but I do kind of bring that lens. But to me, it's just telling these stories was so exciting. And now that I'm no longer trying to do that professionally, I just put all that energy into being a consumer. I love movies. I love TV. I just love stories. I think stories are just, it's the way that human beings have always tried to understand each other. And so I just think that's really powerful.
And I think those stories are a part of pop culture, and why we made it a general, about pop culture, not just about movies or just about TV or actors, and just trying to encompass everything is that life is complicated. The world is complicated, and sometimes you just need a little bit of a break, and you need to talk about something that is interesting, but is not necessarily what's going on that day and what is going on in the world that day. And so hopefully that's kind of what we're doing. We talk about everything, though. I mean, we do go everywhere. I talked about old movies. Yeah, we're going to talk about movies that we love and some that we don't love as much.
well, we're not always going to agree on everything, which is fine. I think that's actually kind of interesting. But yeah, sometimes an episode is just going to be about a movie, old or new. Usually it's old classics or newer movies that we don't think enough people have seen.
Right.
That we think are really great. Sometimes we'll spend the entire time talking about, a TV show or a particular performer that we just want to give some space to.
We also, again, it's not just movies and TV. We also want to encompass, to an extent, music, so that we do twice a year. So far, we'll do a summer playlist, music that we think should be on everybody's ultimate summer playlist, and then also our Christmas songs. Yeah. So, hopefully we'll do something like that. We'll keep doing that sort of thing. I don't like awards, so that's not necessarily a big target of mine. But Eric appreciates them.
I hate them in principle, but I still watch them. It's just I can't resist. And I, an Oscar history sometimes gets me like, this person never won an Oscar, and that's a crime. And you're like, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter. I'm like, but it's so wrong that this person who gave so much, to the never won an Oscar. So I put more stock in it than I want to. But I'm with you in principle. I think they're dumb.
They're very political. But okay, that's another podcast. But we're available on literally every form you can find a podcast.
Boy, we tried to get everywhere.
We're on Apple, Stitcher, Google Play, Overcast, Spotify. Did I say Stitcher? I did.
Yeah. I mean, and actually, a couple of those just hit. And if you can't find us in where you are, let us know.
YouTube.
YouTube. We're on YouTube. Go to POPerationRoom.com and, send us a little note and say, hey, I get my podcast at blankety blank, but I don't see you. We'll try to figure that out because we want to be available.
We're also on Facebook and Twitter. So follow us.
Yeah. So
let us know.
POPeration Room is the handle for both of those. So at Twitter, it's at POPeration Room. If you go to Facebook.com/POPeration Room, you can like the Facebook page. You can follow the Twitter account. We'll post stuff, just interesting stuff about pop culture that maybe we're not talking about, but every single episode that we put out will also be put out via Twitter and Facebook. So
correct.
Just keep current that way.
So follow us and let us know what you like, what you don't like. If you have suggestions about something you'd like us to do a deep dive on.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, tell your friends. I mean, we really would love to, get new listeners. And so if you enjoy what you hear and you want to spread the word a little bit, say, next time it comes up, what podcast are you listening to? Tell them about POPeration. Say you're having a good time. Also, if you have a moment, especially if you're an Apple listener, if you can go onto the Apple podcast site and give us a review, go for 5 stars. Why not? Just give us a 5-star rating and tell us how much you like it. That is a huge benefit to getting the word out about this because people do really kind of put a lot of stock in those star ratings. And so that would help us a lot. But just listen. We're so happy that you're here and that you're listening and that you're sending us feedback when you agree with us and when you don't.
Correct.
We're all about,
we need both.
We need both of those. We like to keep it civil here in the POPeration studio. And so we're enjoying some of the times people say, I think you got this wrong. And it's like, okay.
Gotcha.
You're probably not going to convince me otherwise. But hey, I understand that there are things out there that I can't stand that other people are like, but that was great. I'm like, okay, it was great for somebody. And that's so nice. See how I did that?
That's POPeration. And we hope that you listen. We hope that you subscribe. We hope that you enjoy. That's that. I got no ending. I don't have any ending whatsoever.
So we'll see you in the POPeration room. Bye, all.